Greetings, everyone. My name is Maxwell Oglesby, and I am the Joint Vice President of Finance for the Student Government Association here at Georgia Tech. Today, I will be going over how to submit a funding request for SGA through the bills process, as we have gone from JacketPages over to Engage. So as you can see on the screen here, we have the homepage of Engage. So I will show you how to access the form. So what you'll want to do is go to your drop down tool and then go over to My Organizations. For this example, I will be using the Student Government Association, but when you guys submit a request, you'll just simply click on the organization that you are an officer of to submit a request. So yeah, you'll go to the settings button here, and then you'll go down to Finance right here. Once you click on it, the screen will pop up, and you'll want to go over to create a request, and you'll want to create a budget request. Once you do that, right here is the demo for the SGA bills process. This application will officially go live July 1st this year, and once July 1st hits, that's when you will be able to actually access this and actually use it. Any requests made right now will not be considered and will ultimately be returned to you. But yeah, I'll go ahead and read the description. RSOs can use the SGA bills process throughout the fiscal year, which will be July 2023 all the way to June 2024, to acquire funding for events, attend tournaments, and various other activities. SGA does not fund items retroactively purchased, so please wait until the approval of your bill prior to purchasing items. This is a very key thing, so make sure that you guys do not purchase anything or enter into a contract prior to having your funding approved. With a high frequency of requests JFC receives, please try to submit your request 2 to 3 weeks before it is needed or before a deadline you need to submit a payment for or something like that. If you have any questions, feel free to contact the JVPF or me at the email displayed here, and I'll be able to assist. So basically you'll click on funding request and it'll take you to the form. So right here you have request title. So if you are submitting a request to let's say go to a tournament, so you'll say tournament registration, or let's say nationals. And then you can add little description, requesting funding for the tournament. There'll be more detailed description or requirements within the form, so you can add more information there. So yeah, right here is the basically the little individual steps that you have to fill out. So yeah, instructions prior to submitting your item requests. Please answer the below prompts as they pertain to the activities these items will be used for. Please also have supporting documentation prepared, as all items must have it in order to be considered for funding. This basically means that we need to have proof of pricing documentation for every request, just so that JFC can verify that, let's say, a $100 entry fee is actually $100. We just need a screenshot or various other types of identification just to prove that the pricing is as much as you are requesting. So the first question up here is probably the most important. This links to the funding allocations guideline that we have. This will be very important for you guys to view and understand how SGA gives out money. So yeah, you'll click on this little download tab here and it'll open up this new tab over here, and it basically goes through all the funding guidelines and requirements to get funding for various stuff. I'll potentially make another video to, walk through a bunch of the key stuff to know, but it is required for you to view this policy before you submit a request. It ultimately makes the whole process easier, as SGA will hopefully not have, to ask like big questions when your bill is reviewed. So yeah, please make sure to view this policy. Make sure you understand it. If you have little questions about it, as I said before, reach out to the JVPF or me, and we can be able to we can help assist with that. So since I already know policy, I'll click the first option. This second option is saying that SGA doesn't fund things retroactively. So you'll click the first one if everything hasn't been purchased, and then you'll click the second one if, some items have been, purchased prior, and SGA simply won't be able to fund that. The next question is for conferences and events only. If you are requesting funding for an event or hosting a conference, please specify the expected number of attendees for the events and whether any are not Georgia Tech students. Please note that activities with more than 25% of attendees being non-Georgia Tech students will not be funded. So yeah, basically here, if you're hosting a conference or hosting an event, you can simply, do something like this, like say, oh, hey, this event's going to have like 25 Georgia Tech students and expecting 0 non-Georgia Tech students. So, but please make sure to keep this 25% non-Georgia Tech attendees policy in mind, because SGA has to abide by that. And if you have more than 25% of non-tech students attending your event, it unfortunately cannot be funded by SGA. This question is for events only, and it's basically saying like for events, events need to be open to the Georgia Tech student body, and we basically ask, how are you advertising it? One of the easiest ways and best ways to, satisfy this requirement is to just go on Engage, create an event on Engage, and then you could just copy and paste the link here. And then for non-events only, like travel tournaments, other requests, please note that basically SGA can only fund for SGA students. So like if you have a coach or someone who's not a student, SGA cannot fund their expenditures. Next, we have provide a description of what the funding is, going to be used for. This is where, similar to how in JacketPages you describe what the money is or what the event is, you could just give a description so that the JFC reviewer can, better understand where these funds are going. Over here, we have please know any fundraising that your organization has done in the past. If you guys haven't done fundraising, that's perfectly fine. We just want to, get a little note of it, and then also mention any dues, and then list like the number of undergrad and grad members you have on your roster. Once you do that, you can go to next page, but as you can see, you kind of have to fill out all of these requests, prior to moving forward with it. So I'm just gonna, fill in random stuff just so we can move on. But yeah, you will have to satisfy all or answer all of those prompts prior to moving on to the actual adding the requested items page, which is right here. So up here is basically the summary bar. Each bill has a maximum of 200 line items, just because it's not really, doesn't really make sense that like one request would have 200 line items. So that's why it's capped at that. But up here, requested total, this is the total that will be from what you requested. So if you request like $1,000 for a tournament, then this is how it'll show how much you request. And then the reviewer adjusted total is the one to pay attention to. This would be the total that your reviewer or the JFC comes to once they review policy. So let's say they review your $1,000 request and they see like, oh, hey, this policy is not met or some other thing, and they only approve $900. So it's ultimately the value that shows up next to reviewer adjusted total that will be the amount that your organization would ultimately get funded. So moving down here, we have different sections of things that you can request. When I created this form, I looked at like the most commonly requested items, and I try to break it down to, these different categories and sections to make it easier for you guys to know where to put stuff and what policy applies. So yeah, we have, different sections. Up first, we have food and drink, and then we have, different policies that are important to consider for food and drink. Then we have competitive events, and this is tournament registration, travel, and lodging, which is new. So yeah, since this is technically a tournament registration type of bill, I would click on competitive events, and then up in this first bar, which says line item category, you can pick which type of item you're looking to get funded. So since requesting funding for nationals, the first request or first item might be registration. So then you'll put like the name, you'll say uh cost or tournament entry fees, and then maybe add like a little description, fees for nationals in let's say Hawaii. And then down here, you would add the quantity of, what you're requesting. Maybe let's say 15 people are attending nationals, and then you'll input the cost. Let's say it costs $100 per person. So you'll see your total request is $1,500. And then the important thing is that you have to, as I mentioned earlier, have proof of pricing or quotes, as JFC likes to call it. So it's very simple. Just download or take a screenshot of, the like the website the tournament's on that shows like how much it costs per person. And then you'll just click on choose file and pick whatever file or something that it is. I'll just click a random one and add it. Then you click save, and then move on to other requests. As you see here, your first item shows up here. You click on it again, edit it, and then you could click add another item. We have other sections, so be sure to read through all of them. And key thing to note, if you have a request that doesn't really fall into one of these items and it's PY, just go to other PY items and then just click other, and then just add a name, add a description, explain what it is, and then JFC will be able to cover it. Similar thing for capital outlay. Capital outlay is basically items that are durable goods and meant to last, have a um, normal use lifespan of 3+ years. So yeah, you'll click on it. Then we have, as I said earlier, durable goods, equipment, clothing, others for other capital outlay items that don't fit in these sections. So be sure to click it and pick and answer like description, like name, and describe what the item is. An important thing to note, typically capital outlay items are funded at 2/3 the cost. So just put in the full price of the item, and then JFC will go back and make it 2/3 if the 2/3 policy applies to it. So once you do that, you could click finish later if you still need to, get some quotes, or you could click submit. Now I'll tell you about what happens once you hit submit. I'm not going to submit it just because this isn't a complete request, but once you are ready and have all your documentation, you will hit submit. So the next steps will be that when you hit submit, an email will be sent to the JFC or Joint Finance Committee, and a person on the committee will review your request, make sure that you have all your documentation lined up, that pricing checks up, that your responses to the questions here adds up. So they'll review everything, make sure everything looks good. If they find that you are missing something, they will return the form to you. So you'll receive an email and you'll just, edit the mistake and then you can resubmit it. Once everything looks good, the Joint Finance Committee member will move it to the next stage because it's a multi-stage process. First stage is the individual JFC review. The second stage is the full JFC review. This is where the full committee will meet together and determine whether your request is straightforward. If it's straightforward and simple, then we can approve it as is. If your request, is a little more complex, you have like some items that might bring up like questions, typically like with equipment or type of event or, something that involves a little more communication, that'll move on to step 3, where we have a bill meeting. When there is a bill meeting, you will receive an email and information about when to attend. The times and dates for when these meetings will occur during the fall have not been determined yet, but you will receive an email to meet with the JFC. It'll be like a 10-minute or less meeting just to clarify any questions the JFC has. And if everything goes good with that, then your funding request would be approved. And then, you guys would be free to start spending money on, the items you requested, but only after you receive an email from JFC saying your bill has been approved for this amount, you're free to spend it. And then if you guys have any questions how to start spending it, I can make another video going into how, submit reimbursements or how to initiate the spending process with SOFO, or the Student Organization Finance Office. Thank you for watching this, intro tutorial video. I'm definitely going to try and make some more to, help new people or new organization officers be able to understand finances a little better. So be on the lookout for that. As always, if you have any questions, you can go to the SGA website or sga.godtech.edu/finance. And yeah, there's me. Yeah, you can find like email information, and then these quick links over here will be updated during the summer, so then it will reflect the new budget for the new fiscal year and some other new information. So be on the lookout for that. Reach out to me over email if you have any questions. And yeah, have a nice day. Thank you.